in a way.
Let's not mock that joke anymore. That was a good, strong
Well,
joke.
that's the weird wings of a butterfly that becomes a hurricane, right? Like when
No
you
doubt.
go back in your life and think about weird little lefts you took or rights you took. There's a bunch of those.
When I had 3 months ago, I had a heart attack. When I was on the table, because the doctor was just like, you have 100% occlusion in your LAD. And I was like, I don't know what that means. He said, your LAD is it's the main artery that goes across the front of your heart. He's going, it's 100% occlusion means 100% blocked. You've got cholesterol is blocked. There's no way for blood to get through, and that's what's creating your massive heart attack. So he's like, we're gonna take care of it right now. He goes, but you're a comic book guy, right? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you'll like this. That artery, that's called the Widowmaker. And I said, why? And he goes, because in 80% of cases of 100% occlusion, the patient always dies. He's going, but you're going to be in the 20% because I'm really good at my job. And he fucking disappeared into my crotch, went up my groin, through my femoral artery, and fucking went up into my heart and put a stent in that LAD. And the moment he opened up, he goes, I'm going to open it up now. And he showed me what it was, tiny little mesh wire thing. He goes, I'm going to open it. Suddenly it was like, because that artery had been like a hose if you bend it, and it's fucking full of water and shit. Wow. It was pushing down on the heart, which was in turn pushing down on my lungs. I had no idea I was having a heart attack. I just felt like I couldn't catch my breath. I thought I was too high.
And it was in between shows,
right? Between two gigs.
And you were filming.
We shot them both. Well, we were going to shoot them both. We only shot the one because I had the heart attack and we didn't do the second one. But it was for the folks at Comedy Dynamics, and it became a Showtime special. So we were shooting two shows that night. Crazy. It was meant to be like an hour and an hour. But, you know, once you get up there, I feel like I'm fucking rolling, I'm rolling. So I did 2 hours. And after the first show, they were like, we don't even need to do the second show. We can cut an hour. We're only cutting an hour out of it, so you gave us plenty and stuff. I said, I got 2 different hours, so I want to do the second show. And plus, everyone was there. They were lined up. And so I took a big swig of fucking milk. I was a dairy drinker, heavy dairy drinker in those days. I've since become vegan. I used to be happy. Now I'm fucking vegan. But I took a big swig of milk. Then I went to the green room and I chit-chatted real quick with Jordan, who runs our company. That's Jason's wife, Jason Muse's wife. And Emily was there. She does my hair and makeup. So we were chit-chatting, and then I was like, man, I feel fucking weird. I feel sick. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Can you guys get out of here? Because when I get sick, I just want to go off like an animal and fucking die alone. Like, I don't want to be ministered to. I'm like, fuck off and shit. So they were like, yeah, totally. And I laid down on the floor, and I felt like nauseated, and I never feel sick like that. I wound up throwing up some bile, nothing chunky, but just like fluid. Ooh. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll feel better now. I stood up, and I looked in the mirror, and I was just swamped, man. Like now as a heavy dude, you sweat when you fucking breathe. But this was like, I'd look like I'd just come out of the pool. And I felt really cold. I couldn't get warm and shit. Emily popped her head in, and she's like, are you okay? I was like, no, man, can you turn on like a hairdryer and just like dry me off? I feel fucking freezing cold. And she touched the back of my neck while she was drying me. She's like, you never feel like this. This is scary. You should do something. I said, yeah. I said, I still want to do that second show. I was like, so I'm going to find a couch. Just find a couch for me to lay down. If I get like a half-hour nap, I'm sure I'll be fucking fine. And I couldn't get comfortable on the couch, couldn't sleep, and that's when I started not being able to catch my fucking breath. So, you know, I'm no doctor, but like fucking you think, you know, I know my body, and I know what this is. I smoke too much weed, and I've got too much mucus in my fucking chest. That's all this is. So I said, I better sit up and put my arms up like this, because that will help me breathe. And Jordan comes around the corner eventually, and she sees me. She's like, are you all right? And I was like, you know, I'm having a hard time catching my breath. I can breathe. I just can't get all the way to the top and stuff of the breath. Can't take a full fucking breath. I was like, maybe we shouldn't do that second show after all. And she goes, we already canceled it. And I was like, why the fuck did you cancel the second show? And she was like, because I've never seen you sick like this. She's going, you know, this is weird. Something's going on. I said, yeah, maybe I should see a doctor. And she goes, it's Sunday night. All the doctors are closed. So we called an ambulance. I was like, why the fuck did you call an ambulance? Oh my God, this is embarrassing. She's like, they're already here. And 6 firemen came into the room. Big, brawny fucking dudes. When you call paramedics, fire department comes as well. So they're looking at me because I'm sitting in the chair with my arms up, and like some of them were young, 4 of them were young, and they looked at me like, why is Silent Bob celebrating a fucking touchdown, you know, and shit. And like all of a sudden the medics came in, and there was a guy and a girl, and the guy puts a cuff on me. He goes, how you doing, man? I was like, good. I just can't really catch my breath. And he goes, well, we're gonna look at you right now and put this cuff on you. You ever had this done? I said, oh yeah, I know how to do this. And then the girl had like it looked like a fishing tackle box. Had a bunch of leads, wires coming out of it and shit. She put that down as a heart monitor thing. You know, they get your fucking blood pressure, all that shit on one arm, and then the other thing they put on your chest to monitor what's going on inside. So she's like, I got to put these wires on you. I said, okay. And I'm sitting in the chair, and this is 40 pounds ago. And sitting is no good angle for a fucking fat guy to begin with and shit like that. So she just yanks my fucking hockey shirt and my undershirt up, and every titty I have falls out of my fucking shirt in front of these people. And there's a room full of people, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. And I yank my shit down. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, man, that's my fucking best friend's wife over there. She never seen my fucking tits. My wife's never seen my tits. Like, I can't, you don't yank my shirt up like that. And she goes, I gotta get these wires on you. I said, well, I'll hold the shirt out. You reach up under and put them on my chest. She goes, how am I supposed to see? And I was like, just use my nipples as guideposts. Like, it was, you know, I've spent all of my life trying to hide my fucking fat. And when your life is in danger, I've never been in that situation, but when your life is in danger, nobody gives a fuck about your fucking ego and shit, like your vanity. So they looked at their info and they realized, I guess, what was going on. They were like, we're going to take you to the hospital just to be safe. And I was like, don't do that. That's fucking embarrassing and shit. And they were like, nah, we're so close, man. It'll be fun. You ever been to the hospital? I was like, no, not really. They're like, it's fun. He goes, you're going to have a good time. I was like, all right. And, you know, I'm a podcaster. So I'm like, look, at the end of the day, no time is wasted. Everything's a fucking story. So if this turns into the opening 5 minutes of Hollywood Babylon, where I'm like, they took me to the hospital and it turned out I was just too fucking high. Like, life's great when you're a podcaster because there's no such thing as fucking bad news anymore. Like it can hit you on the level of like, oh shit, that's unfortunate, but right away you repurpose it into like, all right, well, now I got something to talk about, and this latest setback is just the longest, is just a momentary chapter in the long story you're fucking telling. So I was happy to go to the hospital, not because I was like, I think I'm dying, but because I was like, all right, fucking I'll have a story to tell after this next week. It'll be fun. I got to the hospital, like Dr. Leidenheim, he's the guy who's now my cardiologist. They pulled me into the ER and he's like, hi, how are you? I'm Dr. Leidenheim. I said, hey man, how are you? He goes, what's wrong? What's going on? I said, I can't catch my breath. And he goes, well, that's because you're having a massive heart attack. And it was the first time anyone had said anything like that.
How did he know for sure?
That's what he does. I think what he knew for sure was when they put the leads on me and the blood pressure, they looked at each other at one point. But I assumed like,
so there's like numbers that'll show up that'll indicate that something just happened.
And they made this wonderful call. I got to find these kids, give them a hug one day. On the call sheet, because we were shooting that night, on the call sheet it was a different hospital. But they took me to Glendale Adventist because they knew that I was having a cardiac episode. And that's shy of one hospital in New York. Glendale Adventist is one of the best cardiology wings in the United States of America. So I happened to be in the right fucking place at the right time. We were supposed to shoot my comedy special at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. It wound up being shot instead at the Alex in Glendale and stuff. And if I hadn't been doing the show there, who fucking knows, man? I've gone to a hospital, but I probably might have fucking died. Because homeboy told me when he went up the heart, when I was in the operating room, and he told me like they call that the Widowmaker and shit. 80%, 80-20, I sat there going like, these are the weirdest odds I've ever had in my life. I figure like, look, you leave the house, it's 50-50, you're going to fucking drop dead, right? Like you get hit by a car, struck by lightning, you trip over a fucking dog, and then the dog bites your jugular and you fucking bleed out. You're like, but I always loved dogs, and you die ironically.
Whoa.
But, you know, just stringing along. But the 80-20, man, 20% chance of life was fucked up thought. First time I'd ever had that kind of thought. And in my head, I had to cognitively reframe it and go, you don't know. You might have been close to death so many fucking times in your life. Right. There might have been like a psycho behind you with a fucking knife, and then all of a sudden you got a cell phone call and forgot about you or something like that. So suddenly I repurposed it. The whole time I was laying on the table, I kept repurposing every thought. Not repurposing, cognitively reframing. I was sitting there because I couldn't, like at one point they were like, your wife's on the phone. Do you want to talk to her? After they told me that I was having the heart attack and that they had to get up me fast and stuff. So they're holding up a phone and I see it, and that's the first time it crystallized where I was like, oh, these people think I'm gonna die. Like I was in no pain whatsoever. I couldn't catch my breath. They kept asking me like 0 to 10, how do you feel? What's your pain level? I was like -3. They're like, you're doing this wrong. I didn't feel pain. It wasn't like, I grew up in the 70s watching Sanford and Son. So my idea of a heart attack is Elizabeth, that's big and shit. Right. Felt none of the symptoms, no numbness in the arm, anything like that. I was sweating. I threw up bile, a little bit of bile. I was cold, and what was the last one? It was just fucking shit you would never associate with a heart attack. Like you would associate it with like, oh, I feel under the weather. But apparently these are symptoms of heart attacks as well. I like to share it because some cats never heard that before, and I've seen a lot of people on social media since who are like, you saved my life, here's why, because I talked about the fucking symptoms and shit. So while I'm laying there, and they go up your groin, they go up your femoral artery to your heart and stuff, he went up and he saw that it was all blocked. I said later on, I was just like, fuck, man, like I'd like dropped 80 pounds 3 years ago. I've been like walking up a hill 1.5 miles every day and stuff. He goes, yeah, but the kind of blockage you had, he goes, that didn't start fucking recently. He's going, that started in childhood. And I was like, man, fucking Hostess Twinkies. And then I remembered we had no money. So I was like, man, fucking Little Debbie Swiss Delights and shit. That's how it happened. It started way back then. I prefer the
Little Debbie cakes.
I'm with you, because I was raised on them and shit. Yeah, but, you know, we were trained to like Twinkies more because they had a commercial. Little Debbie would never bother with a commercial.
They didn't have a commercial, did they?
No, you can't. Well, years later they did, but when we were kids they didn't, because how can you have a commercial and sell your product for 59 cents a box?
A moister cake.
Yeah.
It was like a better experience.
Because they had more of those trans fats that are just so goddamn yummy.
Did they have trans fats back then?
I think so.
When did they invent trans fats?